a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Deus Ex Media.
Content and Capable acknowledges the Indigenous people on the land on which we record this podcast, the Turungurung people. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Sovereignty was never ceded. Welcome to Content and Capable, where a viewing of She's the Man and Hairspray leads me to the conclusion that Amanda Bynes would have been cast in Pitch Perfect if it wasn't for everything else that would happen to Amanda Bynes post those two movies.
I agree.
That woman can sing, that woman can dance, that woman has skills and range.
What you don't understand is all of that was actually after the biggest piece that she ever did with her career, which was All That, which is a kid sketch show on Nickelodeon. Oh, listen, it taught a generation comedy. All that was peak Amanda Bynes, and then everything else was just post-credits. Of course she had to go to jail.
Yeah, that makes sense. She wasn't.
She was too successful. To jail.
You're too successful. Straight to jail.
Overcooked chicken. Also straight to jail.
Coincidentally, also straight to jail.
Sorry.
Host a podcast, straight to jail.
Shit.
Are you everyone in our lives right now?
We really do become the most insufferable people once we start podcasts because we just can't shut up about it.
It started off and it was we have to talk about it all the time because no one's going to listen. And then we had a week or two where things kind of got very big very quickly. And Maya and I got really quiet because we got a little it was crazy to go from 0 to 100 so quickly. And then we pretty quickly got used to that level of success. And then we were right back to talking about it. Any edit to that, Maya? Or did I pretty accurately explain June?
One of our first reels... Our first couple reels got 500 views, and Grant was so stoked about it. He was like, they all got 500 views. Isn't that nuts? And now he's like, oh my god, that one barely hit 5,000.
I'm delete it. And that's, this entire podcast, when we started it out, was really just a fun social experiment to see how long you can guilt trip a group of friends. And then after they've stopped listening, how long until they tell you, because we see the downloading numbers, and then we can't run that gag anymore.
You can also see what country, at least for me, I can see what country, what state, and what city they're from. Mm-hmm. So I can tell that when a particular avid listener, shout out to Mats, by the way, from Norway comes and listens, I know that he's re-listened to this episode 3 times because there's 3 listens from Norway.
That's so cute.
There's not 3 people listening from Norway. It's the same person listening 3 times.
I love that.
No, in those early days, I was looking at our map and I looked at either you or Lydia and I went, oh, I think one of our friends was in the Philippines recently. We have a single download in the Philippines right now.
And we have a friend that's in Europe, and he was our only listener in France for a really long
time.
Just
a friend.
Yeah, and he was like, I've listened to all your episodes. And I was like, well, actually, I've looked at the downloads, and there's not enough of downloads for you to have listened to all of the episodes.
We would just rather you tell us the truth, which is that you love it and can't wait for the next episode.
I think the lesson learned here is that podcast creators do know all. We have way too many numbers at our disposal, and we will overthink about it.
Yes.
Well, what I think actually what is so funny about this whole podcast is Maya and I were at a party in, I think, January, so very cold here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And someone said to the other person, I think you said to me, we should start a podcast. This was a really funny story. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great, whatever. Where's the bar at, right? And then I woke up the next day and she was like, can you meet at Crema Coffee in 2 hours to talk about names? And I was like, fun. And so in February, we started to record, and we had agreed at the very start we wanted to have 3 episodes ready to go that we could like publish all at once. So there was like a bit of a body of work, and to prove that I think we could like continually record and do stuff. So we recorded 3. Found out 1 and 2 were completely unusable, as we like to call the lost records of the podcast.
The audio is so bad.
But it took Maya like a month to admit that she couldn't save the audio. And so we're like recording episode 4 and recording episode 5. And at one point I go, oh, are we going to share these ever? And so then we finally like re-record episodes 1 and 2, and we're ready to go. So by the time we were actually first published on May 31st, we'd been doing it for like 4 months, and only Maya had heard anything that we had recorded. So the fact that we can talk about it with other people is like still kind of a new thing for the podcast.
For a while, it was like, we have a podcast, and we don't know when it's going to be published.
Just teasing it out, soft launching it.
For months.
Soft launch.
Yeah.
Yes. It is like it's such a experience, like creating your own podcast and wanting to talk about it, but also realizing that your friends do not care like at all. I started this podcast in 2021. And I had gone through, because my podcast is part of a wider network, I had gone through like an extensive vetting process where like I recorded a test episode, I've been given feedback, and then even then about 10 episodes in, I got some quite like very real feedback about like the way I conducted these interviews.
Oh no.
I had to readjust like the way I did it. And like shout out to like my friends who like turned around, like my podcasting friends who turned around and was like, you need to fix this because there's a reason why people don't like aren't particularly engaging. And I was like, no.
Thanks for telling me now.
I know.
I have 10 episodes in.
I think
and it did take 10 episodes to realize.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
We had, I think, a similar bit of feedback that happened basically at the exact same time. Maya's fiance and my mom on the same day respectively gave us the same feedback, which is that when we go on a tangents, which Casey said he loved, my mom
did not
neutral response to that. She goes, when you go on a tangent and you get back to the story, I want you to clarify where you were in the story. Remind the listener what was going on. And I'm hearing the first couple episodes and I'm like, that's really good feedback. And I hear that. We're also 3 episodes ahead in the recording, so please listen to episode 8 to hear us incorporate that for the first time.
Speaking of all of this, we never let him finish the intro.
Oh, shoot, are we still in the intro? I'm sorry.
No, I did finish the intro. If anyone's concerned as to what's going on here, this is Content and Capable. I feel like I'm now hosting a radio show. I feel like this is more radio show-esque, which I kind of love. Someone who has worked in radio, this is the banter radio needs.
That's really reassuring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every time Maya and I show up, whoever has the story has basically done a book report and is like, sure, fun and light and banter, but like has a book report they're getting ready to share. So there's like a little element of focus to it. And the other person who didn't have to do any homework that week can just like kind of spiral. And since we didn't have to, neither one of us, we were both just absolutely spiraling.
Concentric circle.
Exactly.
We're right twice a day.
Exactly. Which is why I actually think it's... go ahead.
No. I was... Sorry. Do you want to quickly explain what your podcast is about for those who have heard the vibes, have continued to listen,
we might need to move this further.
or wondering who these incredibly funny people are?
So my name is Maya. This is my co-host Grant. We host a podcast called Well I Laughed, which is like a comedic storytelling podcast. And so we'll choose a theme that will last for 3 weeks, and then we'll tell each other stories loosely or directly based on that theme. And just kind of...
The stories are usually researched. It's not like stories from our own life in that way. It's we've covered like the Free Britney movement and the invention of the birth control pill, the Unabomber, the North Pond Hermit. That's a great one. So we'll do research and we'll come with facts. Granted, we're not the FBI, right? But it's like here's a fairly true story that I did at least a modicum of research on.
I at least looked at the entire first page of Google. So I Googled the subject.
Exactly. I'm like, so let me talk to you about the invention of birth control and also my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I do love how you're like, most of the time it's not about personal experience, except for the collective hive mind that is the Mexican restaurant in downtown Denver.
Yeah, that one's been funny.
It's been great to see who has been touched by that Mexican restaurant, who didn't realize they had been there until like you're like in the grocery store looking at bananas and you're like, wait, have I been there? And it all like comes flooding back, which is messages we've got. Yeah. And then as one person said, which is crazy because this obviously isn't how Maya and I think about that episode. One person was like, such a funny episode about just a local Mexican restaurant. And Maya and I were like, whoa, it is not just a local Mexican restaurant.
Staple of my childhood. You take that back right now.
It's been on national news. So yeah.
Owned by the creators of South Park.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Tony Award winners and creators of South Park.
When you guys revealed that, I like had to pause the podcast and like gasp for air for like a hot minute. I was like, the Book of Mormon was written by the same people who conceived South Park.
I had the same reaction. I did not know that at all.
When you sit with the information, you are like, oh, okay, yeah, I do see a Venn diagram. Okay, I can see a little bit of an overlap
like
there.
One thing in the middle, though, and it's their names.
It is just the slightest touching of circles if possible. Yes. It's actually two glasses with a bridge that says their
Yeah.
You briefly mentioned like how you guys kind of started the podcast. Was there a point where like you're like, this is not a bit anymore, we're gonna just like actually do this properly?
When we started getting listeners that weren't our friends, we were like, oh.
See, for me, that moment came a lot sooner because Maya terrifies me. And so after I said yes, I knew it was a yes until Maya said no. Like, I remember driving away from that coffee shop after that first meeting and being like, oh my God, I think I started a podcast. And then there was like already a follow-up text by the time I got home and I was like, yep, okay, yep, definitely. But then, yeah, for a long time, it was just this like weird little thing we were doing. And then agreed. Once people who we didn't immediately know started listening, it was like, oh. Okay.
I have ADHD, and so I'll tend to pick up hobbies and like do a lot of research and then get bored. And I feel like this started out like one of those hobbies, and now I can't quit. There's like a buy-in now, and so now my brain, I'm like terrified that my brain is going to be like, that was fun.
Well, as a public school teacher, I'm such a creature of routine and like bells and everything. Like once I've had a Monday in August, I'm going to have that Monday for 10 more months before anything else happens. And so now this is in my life and you cannot take it away.
Nice.
Like this is just now part of who I am. What was the catalyst for you to start this podcast? What encouraged you to get into the game?
I was halfway through 2020. I had just started a journalism degree. A great thing to start at the start of 2020, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, a degree, you know, involving, you know, interviewing people and doing things. I remember one of the last assignments I did before lockdown hit in Australia was you had to take photos of 10 random people and ask for their full names. It was the Sunday the assignment was due. I was coming home from university because, of course, I'm also a band kid, which just explains a lot of things about me. And
all podcasts are just pulling yourself apart on some biopsy table and be like, see? So yeah,
hello.
Yeah.
This is why. And I had to take photos of these 10 random people. And it was a pass-fail unit, which was the greatest thing ever because I just submitted 10 photos. I was on the train. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and there were 15 people on the train. And 6 people said, no, don't want my photo taken. 9 people allowed me to take their photo and grab their name.
Oh My gosh.
This is like baby me. I'm like freshly 18, you know.
I was gonna say.
If someone said no to me for that, I think I would quit.
I would never ask. I would be like, I would see that assignment and be like, okay, so not this career field. That's fine.
I just start taking pictures of people and make up names.
You would lie.
This unit, if any of my journalism friends are listening, this unit's visual journalism. This unit is notorious for people failing because it's a 13-week unit and you have about 7 assignments that are pass fail that you have to go and interact with random people for, and that is it. Like, so the 10th photo I submit is a photo of my little brother crying from a photo from 2017. In the report, they graded, it was like a pass, you submitted 10 photos. The tutor writes, not sure what this last photo is about. Can you please make sure they're all on theme next time? A week later, we get into lockdown.
Did you ask this person or did you catch them sneezing?
Anyway, at the end of it all, so I was midway through a pandemic, and my father, being the very, very middle-aged man he is, was obsessed with listening to podcasts. He did a lot of driving because he worked somehow for both an airline in our country. I won't say which. It's not hard to guess which airline, but you know. And he also worked for the military, and so would often be driving between the work at the airline and the work at the military, and so just was listening to podcasts. He got me onto podcasts. Anyway, long story short, I was like, I can do this.
Same.
Very straight white male of me going, I can do this. I can do such a good job.
I can talk to strangers.
Yeah.
I've done a photo assignment. Right, that was the thought process, right? If I can do this, I can have my own media company.
Anyway, I reached out to someone, a podcaster that I admired, who now is one of my really close friends, and was like, I'd like to do a podcast. Can you, guide me through the start of this?
Love that.
And then the vetting and the consultation and the podcast launched, and I haven't said no yet. My toxic trait is that I won't say no.
Well, that's how
I
we're
will
both
get
here.
stuck doing something I hate.
Yeah, Grant can't say no to me.
I wouldn't dream of it. No, everyone needs
People
a Maia.
pleasers. Eldest daughters as well. Yeah.
Yeah, one of us is
I've
a single child.
discovered the word eldest daughter.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I've discovered the word eldest daughter and its meaning, and the fact that people who can't say no are eldest daughters. We're the ones who are like, we've got to keep this running. We've got to keep going.
We gotta
This
keep
person has
this
asked
going.
me to do this thing. I will continue to turn up.
I feel like that's me too. If I'm in a room full of strangers, I'm going to try to learn a couple names. I'm going to tell a story. If I can get the room to laugh, oh boy. It's like when I was in school, one of my favorite things to do was you'd say something and the teacher goes, oh, actually, Grant just asked a really good question.
Ooh.
That kind of attention absolutely warped me. I was wood left out in the rain for too long, and now I'm skewered a certain way, and it is that I need to be acknowledged for being clever.
Yikes.
Which is actually,
I love it.
I think it's what has made this process actually really so interesting, because we are absolutely better friends now than when we started the podcast, which I think is great because it's put a lot of pressure on us, and we've had to talk about what roles we're going to take on, and we've had to come to a lot of decisions, and I think we've communicated about that in a really great way. And in that process, having spent now a lot more time together, become really close, which has been great too.
She knows my trauma, unfortunately.
Yeah, and she knows how I like to package mine.
Love that. Yeah.
I find it fascinating because I'm the kind of person who, when I've done something once, I struggle to let other people do it. Yeah. I find it fascinating duo podcasters. Not that I know my fair share of duo podcasters, but the divvying up of the roles. I'm kind of,
or lack thereof.
I don't know. Grant has just looked at, for those who are listening to this audio podcast, Grant did look at Maya. I was like, you know, thanks for doing everything.
Oh, absolutely. It was a thanks to doing everything. And for the first week that we launched, and I've now said this on our podcast too, so I feel comfortable saying this. Yeah. The first week that we launched, before we did, Maia went, I think I'm going to manage all the social media, and then you can kind of see, and then we can kind of like slowly release it to you, Grant. And now the social media is like that management side of things is largely my responsibility because Maia puts in hours of work to edit all the video and audio content. And so it's like Maia does what she's really good at, which is being uncompromising. And I do what I'm really good at, which is spinning mean things people say about us into something funny, because I'm a public school teacher. And so it's just about playing to our strengths.
It's also good because I'm not good at following through on projects. And so my job ends when I schedule the content. And that is not actually the end.
No, then there's like 17 more times in a day where I'm like, oh, that's, you know.
Yeah. So it's great because I get to the height of like, I got a completed project and we're going to put it on the internet, and then I just leave.
And then my degree in humanities comes in, and I'm like, do I want this to be the podcast voice, or do I want to make it clear that it's like Grant who's messaging this? And then every time anyone's like, hey, can I ask, do you guys have like an audio or like video editor? I immediately have to try to delete those because I don't want Maia to see any of them. I was like, I will protect her at all costs. Because if she gives up audio editing and I have to give up social media management or share that, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Sam.
No. Multiple people on a social media channel is probably my greatest nightmare. I manage, so working at a newspaper, we have our fair share of social media channels. And I manage the Facebook, and my housemate / co-worker manages the Instagram.
Oh.
Now, when my housemate went on holidays, I had to manage both. I have never been more stressed in my life about posting content to Instagram. I manage other social media channels. I manage my own personal, the podcast. Used to, do other bits and pieces as well. I still have access to an old Instagram account that I no longer run, that like someone else runs, but I still like keep an eye on, like a bad smell. I've never been more stressed posting content to Instagram in my life. It's like, am I doing this right?
Yeah, the audiences between the different social medias we found are very different.
100%. And what does well is also very different between TikTok and Insta.
Yeah, and now YouTube Shorts is funny. Like,
Right.
Grant doesn't do the YouTube Shorts just because we don't get a ton of interaction on them. So when we do, I'm like, ooh.
What was the secret here?
Yeah.
Well, and also on that too, Maia was in Iceland for a week and left me in charge of all like running the business. And by that, I mean, she scheduled everything. And before she left, I had to come over with my phone for the few things she couldn't schedule so she could load them onto my phone and be like, this is when you post it. And I was like, of course. But then it was my job to make sure it got posted. And then all of, like, I continued to interact with everything. And I hadn't realized how much I was like, oh, well, if I do it wrong, Maia will see it and like catch it right away. So when you weren't there to catch it for me, the new theme was like, Maia's gone and Grant's just trying to do it. And then on like the last day, what I thought was the second to last day, I posted like a video I had made myself, definitively Maia's territory. And I posted it. It was like a Reba McEntire video. And I posted it and then I texted her, so I did a thing. Go check the Instagram. And I apparently texted that about 30 minutes after her international flight had taken off. And so it just lived for like 8 hours as I panicked. Because at first I was like, oh, she's at dinner. And then I was like, I guess they got dessert. And then I was like, is she mad at me? Why is it? By hour 5, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's on the plane. I got the day wrong for when she's returning. And it's now, when she lands, going to be up for like 12 hours. And there will not be any ability to like pull it by that point. And so then do you want to talk about what it was like when you landed?
I turned my phone off of airplane mode, and the first text I get is, I did a thing, check the Instagram. And I was like, if you set our Instagram on fire, if you announce that you're quitting the podcast on Instagram.
If you killed this baby when I was gone and out of reach.
I immediately had so many heart palpitations. I was like, Grant announced he's leaving me, and this is the end. And then I watched it was Reba McEntire.
A single mom who works 2 jobs.
It took too long to load because my phone was connecting back to U.S. cell phone coverage.
Yes. No.
Oh,
I
so
had that
stressful.
thing as well. I was like desperately trying to inform my family that I had A, in fact boarded my flight, and B, I had also been upgraded to business class. And then my friends as well, because if you don't, have you flown business class if you don't share it with everyone you know and brag about it incessantly? No, anyway, so I'm on this aircraft. I've been served my champagne because it's an
That's what they
international
do.
flight.
That's why you're there.
Why don't they get you fucking wasted?
Exactly. International waters.
Which reminds
baby.
me, I did. At one point, I couldn't feel the tips of my fingers or my nose. They were serving me these really strong gin and tonics, and because you're 40,000 feet up in the air, you have less taste buds, so you can't actually taste how much alcohol you've drunk. So I had a champagne, a Shiraz, 2 triple shot gin and tonics, and then another wine, I think. I don't know. I forget, like, from then on in what happened on that flight.
Did you live?
First, when you were describing your symptoms, I'm like, oh, well, that's Raynaud disease. Like, that's a blood sugar. And then second, and Sam, I feel like we've known each other now long enough for me to ask this question. What club were you going to on that plane to justify a triple shot gin and tonic? A regular gin and tonic. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely enough alcohol in this drink to triple that just to sit down.
A regular gin and tonic is 2 shots.
Okay. Didn't know that.
It is a lot, but it's not like...
Did not know that. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing was, I had just asked for a gin and tonic. And it was 2 different flight attendants who had given me the 2 triple shot gin and tonic. So it wasn't just like one flight attendant going, yeah, I'm going to give you extra alcohol. Nice. It was 2 people who had seen me dressed in like a dress shirt and dress pants and dress shoes and gone, this man needs as much alcohol as physically possible while he sits in premium economy, having missed out on business class on the way over to the United States as someone who doesn't look like he is over the age of 21. And had to have his ID checked multiple times when ordering alcoholic beverages while in the States.
They're like, sir, we're so sorry. Here's a triple shot.
It is weird what America takes seriously, because like guns were like, but IDs, you be 21 or else.
I don't know. Canada takes it more... I heard that Canada takes it way more seriously. I could hand my license, which has the wrong address on the back because I'm too lazy to change it, having moved 9 months ago now.
Right.
And has 2 expiry dates on it because it goes through my, provisional license and then like my full license because I somehow bought 7 years worth of expiry on it. And
triple shot.
so it has 2 expiry dates on it, and my birthday is apparently in a weird space for a US license, and this poor attendant's trying to read it and takes like 3 minutes, whereas my housemate had to bring 3 forms of ID with her, including her passport, to prove that she was over the age of 18, because that's the drinking, I think it's the drinking age in Canada.
Yeah, it is.
And to like prove that she could have a wine with her mother.
Yeah, when I was in Canada, I was in like a national park, and I went to the one liquor store. I think I was like 19 at the time, and we went to a national park, and we went to the one liquor store that was like within like a 20-mile radius of where we were, and they still ID'd us, and we were like, I think you should be grateful for any sale. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I love that you guys look young enough to get ID'd. I shaved my head at 25, and it's like sad to watch the waiter's face as they take my ID, as they ID the other people who are my age or only slightly younger who are authentically getting ID'd. And then I'm like, yeah, here you go. Because they don't want to make them like have to like be weird about it. And they're always like, amazing. They're almost like, thanks. Be a bold white guy. And they're like, yeah.
And they're like, they're fine.
Okay, Dad, are you taking the whole check too? Like, go ahead and put that guy away. On the topic of...
It's hilarious because... Go ahead, Grant.
On the topic of flight attendants, I was flying to Vegas for my brother's bachelor party. But do you guys call it the stag party or the bachelor party in Australia?
I think we call it both.
Okay.
cultural chameleons here
Yes.
in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm flying to Vegas for my brother's bachelor party, and on United, I guess you have to load up your credit card before you get on. And so when I saw that option at first, I was like, they don't need my credit card information. A handful of
classic.
things. I'm like, no. And so I'm on the flight, and I asked for a whiskey Coke, and they're like, oh, sorry, you don't have we can't do it. And I go, oh, okay, I'll just have water. And the flight attendant goes, well, I can still get you the Coke. And I go, no. I don't want the sugar if there's not any whiskey in it. And she thought that was so funny that she brought me it later, like after the service was done. She came up behind me and she goes, shh, don't tell anyone. Which was great, but the looks I got from everyone around me who definitely had to pay for their drinks. Be funny, be charming, and then good things happen. Do you know I have a podcast?
Please give me free drinks. I have a podcast.
And I'm kind of funny.
Here's the thing, I'm a pretty loyal United flyer now. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Because that happened to me on a United flight.
We need to make sure our credit cards are loaded before we take off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. How did you...
It's funny because our alcohol service is free. Like, it is after 5, I think after 4, maybe 3:30. They do free alcohol service on at least domestic flights. I think it's just generally free for an international flight for the particular airline. But every time I fly domestically at late at night, I have to drive 2.5 hours afterwards. So I'm like, I can't have a wine. I have to drive into the countryside with the potential of hitting a kangaroo. So,
The huge perk of living in a city is I can just stroll right off that plane, right onto a train, and then the Lyft can take me the rest of the way. I don't think I told you this. We went camping recently, me and our friends Jacob and Lydia, and actually our friend Sophie, who's Australian, and also Sophie had just gotten her U.S. license, so she was driving for the first time, and I'm in the car behind them, and it's dark at night as we get closer to the reservoir, and Sophie obviously drove in Australia, so she's been dying to get back on the road, and it's really dark, but it's fine, it's a really quiet night, and they bump into a cow. I don't think I shared that with you.
The thing is, that's a normal thing to happen.
Where the hell did you bump into a cow?
The road? I know that wasn't the question. We're close to Taylor Reservoir outside of Gunnison, and we're coming around a corner, and we immediately see brake lights on because it's Jacob and I in my car. So I hit him too, and as the dust is still settling and the brake lights are still on, we see this cow continue to walk in front of Sophie's car, and then because we love that she's Australian, but we don't have a lot of Australians here in Denver. Jacob and I looked at each other in the second car and we went, oh no.
Make fun of her accent to the point where it's
Oh no.
bullying. Exactly.
And we love her and we love
She's
Australians.
so funny,
It is absolutely not out of hate. It's just fun.
Sometimes she tries to do an American
has to
accent,
happen.
and it's really funny. We just go, oh no.
Oh no.
Clear.
The condensation.
Clear.
I'm really grateful that you guys are in on it too. That you guys are aware as to what everyone else is saying.
The thing is, that TV show was on when I was a child, so it was one of those things that was I definitely
That's
we
so
definitely
funny.
knew it existed. In fact, the guy who created H2O continues to create children's TV shows, and they are some of the most unhinged properties out there. I'm talking about a magic TV show set in the same city that I lived in. In fact, their secret hideout was underneath our most iconic bridge, but they refused to acknowledge the fact that it was in that city, and they just called it a different city.
It's like South Park.
He's a genius. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because Middle Park exists, but South Park, the town, does not exist.
I think now I think it's technically a ghost town.
Oh, so it's a shed?
Yeah.
Where you can buy weed and I'm sure jerky, because it's Colorado. You were in the U.S. recently. How did you enjoy your time in our country? And where did you go? Because it geographically is kind of big.
Yeah.
kind of big.
I don't know what the scale is.
Yeah, I'm guessing some people would know this. I don't know. I've just come back within. This is within 3 days. I've been back in Australia for like less than 4 days.
Wow.
I was in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. We drove past the Sydney Opera House, which happens to be. I really got to get this right. For context, my friends live in Richmond, so I flew into Richmond and we drove down to Avon in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Beautiful spot of the country, by the way. Like, go and have a beach holiday there. That's it. But there is a stadium in Hampton, Virginia, that looks suspiciously like the Sydney Opera House. And so we joked the whole trip down, because we drove past it, that we drove past the Sydney Opera House on our way down to Outer Banks. I have to show you the stadium. It's like, it looks suspiciously like it's one of those things where like everyone who lives in Hampton jokes it's the Sydney Opera House, but it's the Hampton Coliseum is what it's called.
Oh, yeah. Especially when it's all lit up.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Honestly,
it's so pretty.
It looks like a bunch of churches down in Colorado Springs. Oh, they definitely play basketball and monster trucks in there.
Yeah, it's America.
That sounds, listen.
It's really America.
I also love it because you were like, beautiful part of the country, and both Maya and I were like, It's so...
No, that's what the customs officer did to me too.
The beaches, yeah.
Yeah, should have.
The customs officer was like, where are you going? I'm like, oh yeah, to Richmond, because I didn't want to tell the customs officer I was going to North Carolina, and they have to explain that I'm flying to Richmond to drive to North Carolina, because that just makes no sense to like a logical human
It
person's
does to
brain.
Americans. We love a road trip. We get it. We're like, yeah, I get
Grant
it. Yeah.
loves a road trip.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to like confuse it, because I think I had written the address of my friend's house as like my destination within the US. And I was like, I'm not going to cross my wires. I know how like police interrogations work. And then he's like, why are you going to Richmond?
That's also true.
I get on the plane. I have a middle seat because, you know, when you fly American Airlines, you have to get a middle seat for the full experience.
That's actually really fair. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I have arms. It was rude of me to pack my arms on this flight. I should have left them. I should have checked them. I'm just going to do this the entire time.
Let me just unscrew this for you really quick.
I'm sorry. Was the aisle not enough? Do you need the armrest?
The lady who was sitting in the aisle sign clocked my accent immediately, which like sometimes can disguise itself. Yeah. And she goes, "Oh, you're Australian." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah, no, I'm about to go on holidays." She's like, "Oh, so why Richmond?" And I was like, I had to explain.
Yeah.
I do think that's actually a great like attribute of Americans, if not slightly annoying, is that like a lot of our small talk really is like intended to be kind. Like we're legitimately like, "Oh, you're going on a vacation. That's fun for you. Why are you going there?" Like, it is no ulterior motive whatsoever, which is why when you talk to the cops, you're not supposed to do it without a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
I'm gonna recite my Miranda rights to the police officer,
just so you know,
that, like, you know,
and then be like, I am remaining silent.
Which is also so funny because it's like, I actually kind of like despise airplane small talk. Like, I don't want to know about your son that lives in Phoenix or your daughter who's a nurse in Charlotte. Like, I don't care. I'm trying to like get through this experience. Flying's just not comfortable anymore, and those other things. But I came back from Europe last summer, and I was like, "Hello, how are you? Aren't these burgers great?" Like, in a way that I was like, "Please be nice to me. The Europeans are weird." They're not weird, but I wanted to be around a couple of Americans for a little bit.
Europeans are just blunt.
I think I legitimately walked off the plane and into a Starbucks to get an iced coffee.
Yeah, that's fair. Europeans also don't like iced coffee, which is a problem for us.
No, they don't. Yeah. It's fascinating because I flew over premium economy and I was sitting beside this gal and we were chatting because we're like the same age. So I felt like I was contractually obligated to have a conversation with someone my own age, because you don't see, you know, someone in their early 20s on an international flight very often, especially to the States. They're usually going to Europe. So, you know, which is in the opposite direction from Australia.
Yeah.
And on the way back, because I flew business class, and the whole idea of business class, at least on this plane, was like, you do not interact with anyone other than a flight attendant. I was like, I had the most boring time ever. I was like, I actually kind of preferred not sleeping and like sitting in premium economy, making small talk with someone.
That's super fair.
like,
I
put me in the
cannot
lower
relate
class.
to that less.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense at
I'm
all
not
to
an
me.
extrovert, so I personally would rather, unless the person sitting next to me has an animal or would like to talk to me about their animal, then I'm in. Otherwise, I have both my headphones on and have really mastered my resting bitch face.
We are flying to Europe together here soon for a little friend vacation, and I have no intention of talking to you on that plane,
Grant-
even if we are seated next to
I
each
don't.
other.
Grant was
no.
like, do you want to sit next to each other? And I was like, why?
I want to sit next to you so that way I'm not sitting next to anyone else.
But then both of us can't have the window seat or an aisle seat.
I don't want the window seat. I'll fine. I'll take the aisle seat. You can have the middle seat. That's okay.
No.
I'll let you have the armrest.
At least
So kind.
that's the thing. At least though you're sitting next to Grant, who like acknowledges that you are sitting in the middle seat and you deserve real estate.
Thank you.
That's fair. That's a good point.
And also,
Yeah.
Maya is smaller than me, so I'm like, sit in the middle seat, Maya.
I need the
We
space.
could all benefit here. When I flew to Ireland for the first time, I was in the aisle. The woman that was flying was assigned the window seat, and then the middle seat was open, and I was like, oh, awesome. And then as soon as we took off, she lifted the armrest, went horizontal, and for about the last 2 hours, her shoes were just directly on me.
No.
And I was about to travel for a month, and I was like, I can't already be upset about something, so I'm just like gonna fully just not...
Dissociate.
I'm just like fully gonna not care. But I hate this so much.
That's some bold behavior.
Yes,
on a
and then at
plane.
one point she flipped around and
about
her
to
like
say.
head was right there, and now I'm like, where do I put my arm? Like I can't rest it on your eye. Like what is this? Am I being punked right now? And then I did hit a point too where I was like, she needs this. Like if you're doing this,
you
need
need it.
No one's like, this is where I'm
You
going to
need it,
finally
yeah.
get my sleep, and you got something. I can work through this. I can. It's actually rude of me to take up space. She's right. She's right.
Oh my god.
I just can't believe that we as a society have decided to stuff ourselves in metal tubes in really just uncomfortable seats, like just really uncomfortable seats that we pay way too much to sit in for like 8+ hours and then go, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, I can't think about the logic of it or I'll have a full-blown anxiety attack in the air.
Which is how I feel about skiing.
That's fair.
What? Okay,
I'm
so
going skiing next weekend, which is a whole anxiety attack incoming as well.
Can you do
My
that in
parents are about to
Australia?
come skiing with me. Yeah.
If
There's
you
snow.
can?
We have snow.
Why would he be saying
Yeah.
that
We
he's
have
going?
rainforest, snow. We have desert. Did you just think the inside of Australia was all outback, Grant?
Okay, so I
little.
feel
So I'm
now
just about to
backed
call
into
Grant
a
out on
corner.
this.
I have it on good authority from a fellow Australian, who I'll keep nameless in this part of the story, that there like, quote, isn't really any skiing in Australia, which is why they really like to do it here in Colorado. So yes, I had like literally been told by a local Australian, not that great
But
at
that's
skiing.
like the same thing as people from the East Coast being like,
May I
"There's not
ask
really
what
skiing."
state this
isn't.
Australian is from before I judge them?
Adelaide.
I didn't know
Of
that.
course they're from fucking Adelaide.
She loves gin, if that also helps.
Adelaide is desert.
I was gonna say,
It's like, if you wanted to...
That's so funny.
Sorry, I will be here for Adelaide slander. Having grown up in the equivalent of Florida, we do have the equivalent of Colorado. And it is a mix between Adelaide and where I live,
Okay.
in Victoria.
I'm so happy about
that
this.
was really fun to watch too, because like obviously we don't know anything about
no idea.
the beef that these individual what do you call them, territories, provinces have.
I have.
I think it's
We will like get into fights. There are like grudge matches between different states. Like just, look, I'm ready to. The problem is I have relatives who live in like all parts of the country, so I'm ready for a grudge match. But I also have to acknowledge I have family from there, so I can't go like too far. Otherwise, I will piss off a relative who will be upset that when I go and travel, I go, "Hi, I'm in town. Do you want to come and visit?" It's like, oh, but you think everything's boring here, like.
I love this.
I was like, I again cannot relate to that less. I have to go to a conservative part of the United States every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And while my immediate family is wonderful, my extended family is big. And I told my mom heard one of the things I said about it, and I was afraid she was going to be mad at me because I was basically like, hey, no, I don't want to hear your opinion on this. I'm good, actually. And I thought my mom was going to be mad at me. And when we talked after that episode released, she was like, what you should have said was blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I can say that? You'll let me say that on the podcast? Good to know where the bar is. All right.
Greatest thing.
So I love that you are a peacemaker. I choose violence.
See, I like to remain relatively neutral, except for Florida, because my parents lived there for a little bit, and I am convinced it's a swampland, and crocodiles and alligators scare me. But I want to be like, all the states are fine, you know, like they all have their good parts. And then someone will be like, you live in Denver? I fucking hate Colorado. And I'll be like, the fuck did you say?
So I live in Victoria. Our capital city is Melbourne. Mm-hmm. And in New South Wales, where I was born in Sydney, which is the capital city of New South Wales. These two cities have such beef. Just like you guys had fights over the placement of Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Right.
We had a fight to the point where the government ended up in Victoria because they guaranteed that Canberra, our capital, was going to be within 100 miles of Sydney, so to placate the New South Wales people. Because they're like, we were here first, and the Victorians were like, but we have more criminals, and we will fight you on this.
But we have more criminals. Yeah.
It's tough because every time you meet in Australia, you're like, so those stereotypes, not true, right? And they're like, oh, no, yeah. No, I'm absolutely
they're
some
true.
truth
They're
in there.
true.
Yeah, absolutely. Since we're kind of in a Florida slander part of tonight's evening, there's this fantastic quote. When the U.S. government was committing, it's going to be sad for a second.
Okay.
When the U.S. was committing atrocities and genocide against the indigenous people in Florida, one of the lieutenant colonels that was sent down there to do that to the Seminoles wrote back to Washington, D.C. and said, "Why are you here? Why are you making us move them? I cannot imagine a worse place you could possibly send them to than where they currently are."
And that is how half of our cities were founded.
Legitimately, why do you want this? Ohio exists.
They caught a 18-foot-long snake in Florida this week. It's like a record breaker.
I hate reptiles, and so Florida terrifies me.
No, when I went to Florida, I have a little dog, and I brought her with me, and there's a bunch of signs all around the lakes that were in my parents' neighborhood that were you can't get within 6 feet of the edge of the lake or else they'll eat your dog. And I was like, why am I here?
Why would you put millions of people here?
Why would you let the alligators into your neighborhoods? My dad one day sent me a video of an alligator just walking past his driveway.
I hate that so much.
What? I thought they stayed in the water.
Okay, that's a step too far. That's very Florida.
I was like, I didn't want to see it.
So you still live in Victoria? You still live in the Florida version of it all? Yes.
No, so this is not Victoria is not the equivalent of Florida.
Right.
Queensland is. They have the crocodiles. They have the humidity. They have the swamps. They also have excellent beaches. So everyone from every southern state through all of winter is like, let's go up there and swim.
That's fair.
Right as crocodile breeding season happens.
Wait for it.
A great time of year to be swimming in the ocean.
No, absolutely not.
I hate reptiles so much that I just would not risk it. I once chaperoned a school trip to this student event in Florida, and I looked at them all before we got on the plane in Colorado, and I was like, no one, not a single one of you, while under my supervision, will get into any pools that are on the ground floor. Second floor, inside, or nothing at all. I take my job seriously. If anyone's like, how is this man in charge of youth? Because there are a handful of really key moments where I'm a professional.
I was in a pool pool one time as a kid, and there was not a water snake, but like a snake that got into the water. And I have
and
never
snakes can swim.
Yeah, and watching them swim, terrifying.
Yes.
They move way faster than
It
on
was
land.
like they were born for it.
Don't go into the water if you're being chased by a snake.
Yes.
Oh god, I can't even think about that.
Thank you. Right. Do you normally talk about reptiles this much with your guests?
Is this a reptile podcast?
It really depends.
Are we gonna get questions about reptiles after this?
For context, there's an episode coming out in a few weeks' time in which I discuss racial relations in the US and how it interacts with music. So, variety.
And then our episode.
The Steve Irwin episode. Yeah. Our first time talking to an Australian on the podcast, and we're like, crocs and snakes, right? Erner.
Oh no. We haven't even gotten to like Steve Irwin, which I was like very willing to get to, which we just haven't yet. Steve Irwin is the reason why we have beef with stingrays, and I am terrified of all sea creatures since Steve Irwin.
I'm terrified of
you
the
guys
sea.
don't have shark nets, is something I learnt about.
No.
What?
Shark nets.
You guys don't have
What are
shark
shark
nets.
nets?
Every one of our beaches has shark nets.
Because you have a
They're
lot more
like these
sharks
massive
than
nets
we
they
do.
put in
like
the
nets.
ocean.
Okay, yeah, I've seen them for sure.
Aren't they kind of ineffective? Wasn't that one of the reasons why?
They catch more dolphins and turtles
Right.
than they do sharks. And often sharks still get through. Bondi Beach gets evacuated fairly regularly because they see a shark in the beyond the shark nets.
I think that's
But I had never freaked out more than swimming in the ocean.
With no shark net?
In the Atlantic and seeing a random thing floating in the Atlantic and going, fuck, is that a jellyfish or a shark?
Probably both.
I never ran out of the water faster.
Oh, I hate jellyfish too.
America gets really selective on when it gets like militant with environmentalism, and protecting turtles is something that Americans have gone to the mat for. We can't get plastic straws in the middle of the country because it might kill a turtle someday. And here's the thing, I'm an environmentalist too, so that's great. But yeah, no way would shark nets fly in any of our coastal communities because they would kill creatures. And also, I think Americans are kind of the mindset that like, if something like that gets you, well, it got you. You know, like what do you...
The ocean is its own. It's a force of nature, and I'm terrified of it. Let her go. Let her be.
You know, I had a friend once who shared this while swimming in the ocean with us, and she went, I actually kind of think it'd be cool to get bit by a shark. And I went, what? And she goes, not like a big one. I don't want to like lose anything, but yeah, like to have a kind of a scar and be like, oh, I was in the ocean, I got bit by a shark. And I was like, that's nuts. And swim away. Swim away.
I think therapy might
Cuts
be
herself
cheaper.
mildly so there's blood in the water, like, you know.
Oh god, the ocean.
Finding
freaks me out
Nemo style.
So we posted on the Insta today teasing out like, oh, we're guests. Like, do you want to take any guesses as to who we're about to be with? And someone submitted, is your therapist a podcaster?
Yeah.
I was obsessed. Because I accidentally thought I was jumping on an hour earlier than I actually was.
Oh.
And so I was like, let me just check to make
What's
sure that
going on?
if they've messaged me or not. I was like, oh, look, they've got stories here. And it was the unhinged guesses as to who I am.
The therapist one really was like, wow. Ouch.
I really, really do apologize for not being, and that's why we drink. Like, I'm sorry, Maya. Like,
I don't know if we're actually ready for that step either.
I don't
ourselves.
think that's ever gonna happen, at least not for like years. They're like big game.
Oh, you mean Casey doesn't like kind of know him because he went to school? Maya's fiance has the craziest connections.
It's very strange.
He gave me a huge bag full of pins, like writing utensils, and I brought them to school, and I gave them out, and the kids were really excited. And one teacher went, where did you get that? Because they thought I was giving away school supplies for free, which I would never do. It's my 9th year teaching. And I had to be like, oh, I have a I have a
They're
pin
mine.
connection. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he has a friend that's like an exec at like a big pen company, and so she gave him like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of pens.
Right.
And so he had them throughout all of college, and he slowly used most of them. And now that we're both like adults working, we don't really write things as much, and so
Right.
he just gave them all to Grant.
And so I naturally went through and selected the ones I liked and then said, take whatever's left, children.
Children.
So one kid walk out with like 24 pens, and I was like, one day they're going to get him on the right medication. I'm kidding. I love it, but it's also a symptom of something, you know?
As someone who would have been that kid with 24 pens, I can confirm he has something.
Oh, it's like, because I taught history for years before I switched over to public speaking. So we took a lot of notes in my class at first. And yeah, you'd see like bubble letters, and
Yeah.
it would be like, the Holocaust, right? And like bright, shiny pin letters, because the girl's like, I gotta label my notes somehow. And it was like, I mean, you good organization, maybe think about the script next time. Maybe not the time for papyrus or whatever it is that you're running right now. Maybe this can just be in black and white. I don't know. Or at least not until, you know, the liberation.
The papyrus has on middle school history students.
Papyrus and Comic
Sans.
A match made in heaven. I'm convinced.
Comic Sans was the first text the first font I was taught how to switch to. I remember my computer science teacher in like 4th grade being like, and that one's just kind of fun.
Wow.
If you ever work for a comic book and you need to, like, at the time, because they, you know, it was the 90s, it was like 98 that I was being taught this. They had no idea what computers are going to be used for, so they were like, you know, if you're working at a comic book and you need to type up the dialogue, there's a font for that. And we were all like, of course, yes, thank you. This is job training. Good, yes, that makes sense.
It just clicked
I
in
think
my
I was
penis.
probably one of the last like year levels of students who had computer classes. Like
yeah.
computers were novel enough that like we had labs and then we would go once a
same.
week
Right.
and learn how to use the computer.
Yeah.
Everyone's
grew up-
favorite field trip.
Yeah, I grew up with like a computer room in my
Yes.
house that had like the computer we all used. Yeah.
That's what's so fun about Maya and I on topics like this is we're close enough in age to where we still understand each other, but we're far enough in age to like have like for instance, here's a great one. I remember 9/11, and Maya was alive,
I was
maybe
alive.
at the time. When computers first arrived at the middle school I went to, they had no idea how to teach it, and there was like 12 for the 700 children that went
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So they printed off packets of like screenshots essentially, and then with a bright pen, we had to circle on the paper what button we were supposed to press, and then if we did it right, the teacher would come around and check it, and then we would move to the next screenshot, and it was like, this is what it would look like if you hit the right button, and then we'd have to like circle the next one, and then we would all go to the computer lab for the first time with our packets, and we would know then like what, you know,
That's hilarious.
early days computer science teacher. They're also having like the ELA teachers do it because they just do not
Yes.
know who to roll it out. And if you need to roll out something, ELA can do it. Just give it to English. They'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, it was my like Spanish teacher, I think, that taught our computer class. Poor woman. Oh my god.
I feel I think the 5th grade was my last computer class that I remember, because then the next year we were given, because this is how fast technology, and I don't think we appreciated how fast technology developed. I went from in 5th grade having a computer lab class with like 30 kids, and I think for like fun we like created like a graffiti of our name using a website,
Right.
and that was like my profile picture on my
Yeah.
email for years. Anyway, can't find the original photo. I'm really confused as to where that went.
Yeah.
And then the next year we had tablets with like keyboards that were used as like personal computers in class. The most embarrassing thing was, obviously you could set like an idle screen thing, right? Like, you know, you time out and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone had like their thing. It was like the way you showed off, like
Yeah.
that you knew how to
Right.
use a computer. I at one point had a crush on the girl I was sitting paired next to. I was paired next to her because the teacher was like, this person needs extra help. You're too smart and bored in this class. Let's put you two together.
I'm so scared for you.
I love
this
how
scenario.
most times it was you were the girl and it was a gay classmate who was getting moved next to you who had that's why we started this podcast.
Too many gay friends, apparently.
Anyway, so I had a crush on this girl. And I changed whatever. I forget what Microsoft calls it, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I know what you
I
mean.
changed it to like I love.
Oh my god, you announced your love to her through your idle screen on Microsoft?
The courage that we all
The
had
thing
as
was, I
children.
forgot that it existed. I forgot that it existed, and for 2 months, it had never come up. And then I'd left my laptop open, walked away, walked out of the classroom, come back into the classroom. The class was up in arms. Because me, sitting in the front row of the classroom, the rest of the class could see.
Oh my god! This is a Hallmark movie waiting to happen.
Absolutely it is. Or it's like the first 5 minutes of which, like, at the end of it, it's like you get murdered or something. Like it's the setup to a crime or a Hallmark movie. One of the two.
You maybe will run into her on some holiday in your hometown.
I love that. Idle time. That's what it would be
Idle
called.
time.
Idle time. We got it.
it.
And that was the day I learnt the phrase bros before hoes.
Thank you so much for trusting us with that story.
Absolutely.
That was amazing.
Can I say it's my catchphrase, especially now that students are
yeah.
back? So sometimes kids will share stories in class, and what they're sharing is trauma, but they don't understand that they have been traumatized by the story that they're telling me. Right now, they just think it's an interesting thing that's happened to them. So they'll tell it to me, and then at the end of it, I don't want to be the one that lets them know they need to talk to
therapy.
someone about that. So I'll go, hey, kiddo, that's a crazy story you just told me. And I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of different reactions to that. But my reaction right now is that story is crazy, what you just told me. That's nuts. And circle back when you're 22.
And I have never dated anyone in between then and
You're saving yourself
It's one
for
of those
things
things where
it's
it's
gonna
like-
be perfect.
Exactly. Just idle time. It's just idle time is the catchphrase.
Our most recent catchphrase on the podcast has been "It's funny now," and I feel like that really falls into this category.
I love that it actually took us, 16, 17 episodes
Yeah, I
for
can't
us
believe
to
we
get
didn't come up with
to
that.
figure out why we started this, which is like, well, actually, I do have a couple of things I'd like someone to hear. It doesn't need to be my parents or my exes, but just to know that someone heard me say it, you know? That is, I think, the driving force. Yeah, I don't know if we were supposed to actually talk about the podcast on this or not, but that's, that
We
was the
did.
driving
We got
force.
there.
Yeah, we got
We
there.
found the
therapy's
funny.
expensive, so I'll take the minor things to my podcast and the major things to my therapist.
That's a phenomenal line.
Write that down, write that down.
Minor things to the podcast, major things to the therapist. Got it.
And if that doesn't work, we can switch it just for an episode to see what that's
Just
like.
to see. Does anyone else have any opinions on my relationship with my mom?
Last week we recorded an episode about our different, I mean, it was about a bunch of stuff, but at the end we talked about our very kind of torrid relationship with food and trying to become just very neutral about it. And then I listened to it on the run the next day because you had the audio file ready to go. And I was in just such a weird mood during all of it. Not because I was mad or sad or regretted saying it.
Yeah.
Just maybe don't be running when you're hearing it, you know? And I was like, ooh, okay. Wow. All right. Well,
Now I gotta finish this
there
run.
have been so many times where it's like, I really should email Brene Brown and just say thank you.
We all do. Just to be honest, the chokehold that Brene Brown has on everyone. You don't realize that until you think about it for a second. You
feel
go,
like
Brene
I've
Brown
never
has a
heard of
chokehold
her
on my life.
until you, and now I feel like I need to invest some time.
And that is the 5-year age gap between you and I. Because I also had never heard of her before I turned 27. And then I turned 27 on a Zoom call much like this 1 month into the pandemic.
That makes sense.
A month later, I'd learn about hiking, and 2 months later, in between meditation sets, I'm binging chapters of Brene Brown.
And that's on health.
Absolutely it is. That's on, step by step, making it work. If it's a little jingle, it's fine, and you can say it to everybody. No, she does some really great work. I don't, not all of it is for everybody, in the sense that, she does some leadership stuff, and she's done some really interesting things, and she had a death grip over me the year I was 28. And now that I'm 30, it's like, yeah, she's like one of many. Like Bell Hooks is another person I've read about a little bit. You know, just really good to have some positive inputters.
There's a whole airplane ticket in this book. Speaking of Brene Brown, have been reading. I just finished the self-help book, Think Again by Adam Grant, which has an attestation from Brene Brown sit on the back.
Seal of approval. That is a seal of approval right there.
Like, it was to the point where, like, when I was listening to this podcast and you started talking about Brene Brown, I was like, I really should. It's taken me 2 years to read that book, and I was like, I really should like finish that book that my mother gave me passively aggressively.
We all have that one book. Yeah.
in which my mother gave it to me, and then it challenged, like at the end of this book, spoiler alert, it challenges you to like rethink your career fairly regularly. Ooh. And I'm like, then start rethinking my career and my mother, because, you know, my mother is the step in for my therapist at this point in time. Turns around and goes, whoa, Sam, why are you rethinking your career? And I'm like, the book told me to.
And I can't say no.
You gave me.
That's funny.
It's and that's on like the evolving relationship with your parents too. Hear that 100%. I, after reading the book, gave my mom the book Daring Greatly, and I think she liked it. I think she enjoyed it. We never actually talked about it though.
That's
there
key.
There was a couple hints. What of Brene Brown's work have you? Oh, go ahead.
I haven't read much of it. It's more videos and bits and pieces, only because my mother is obsessed. So she's like, here, watch this video of Brene Brown talking at 10, you know.
That's, to say, I've only really listened to her bits that my mom has sent me is really real, because I do understand that I am not maybe her traditional demographic. The Gifts of Imperfection.
I think everyone needs
is
to have like a
book.
brush with Brene Brown. Yeah.
That should be like required.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too,
Required reading.
And this is, I think, just on, I don't know what to title this exactly. We can find out afterwards. I would listen to a lot of her like podcast episodes when I was out west, like on a hike or going to a hike. So what I'm trying to say is I have listened to a lot of her stuff while surrounded by some of the most gorgeous scenery our country has to offer. And I can't downplay that multiplying effect, you know, on everything else too.
That's fair. Yeah.
I will, though, at times, like, just borrow some of her sayings. And my students think I'm, like, wise. And
a wise tree?
A wise tree with a podcast. And so I'll be like, well, you know, kiddo, I'm glad you said it, because, you know, shame only exists in the shadows. And they'll be like, and then I'll be like, I think right now you need to kind of pick courage over comfort. And comfort's the easy choice in the immediate, but not long term. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
It's the high heel and the Barbie choice.
She was like, the high heel. No.
I'm like trying to force Birkenstocks on all of them. I teach acting, like they are going to be lesbians when I'm done with them. The men and the women.
They will all slowly morph into Kate McKinnon.
That is specifically why I bring them to live theater downtown. I like managed to find a way to incorporate it into the lesson, and that's great. And that's also like a big part of it is making sure they understand how big the world is and that they can kind of play whatever role they want in it. But I think a part of it is too is like, do you see what disposable income and a place downtown could get you? You could do this.
Could waste your money on really expensive trains.
And that's not specifically gay, but it is pretty queer coded.
Yeah, like a nice little meal downtown.
100%.
Walk in a park.
We grab a slice at Union Station, and I'm like, sit wherever you... Yes, it's a good day, and I get to do it 4 times a year. Actually, it might just be for me. It might literally just be for me.
Can I come?
Yes. I bring Lydia sometimes. I'm not even joking. Friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Sorry. We spiraled.
No. I've definitely had my English teacher use theatre as use our class as an excuse to go see live theatre.
Yep.
Specifically, to take her daughter out on a night on the town.
Yes. Well, here's the thing, and this is...
Now I'm thinking about it. It was an abuse of power, but okay.
Here's because, and this is real talk for any teachers out there listening right now. A movie day is great. That's fine for the first period. and then second period rolls around, and you have to restart the video because obviously they weren't in first period. And then when you teach 5 periods a day, by the time you get to the 5th period, you're like, I hate this movie so much. Why would I ever pick this? But a theater field trip, because you have to, like, there's transportation and stuff, takes up so much more time, and you only have to see it once.
Yeah, that is the correct move, actually.
It's great.
Yeah. I love that.
I have often...
No, I feel like my English teacher, through like my final 3 years of high school, specifically chose books that she knew there were plays and like musicals coming out about it.
Yeah.
It's called a
And it
cruise
was one
control.
of those.
You're like, I'll put
Like
this
this
book
is
on my
lovely,
desk,
lovely.
and then we have the next 3 months.
The thing is, then because it was theatre, the drama department would get wind of what's going on and would also send the drama kids. So there were some kids who went and saw this play twice because they wouldn't book it at the same time. The drama kids would go like a day before or a day after, and so
That's the
it would be an
dream.
afternoon to be wandering
Absolutely
around.
I have joked several times that I'm the last happy teacher in America, and I do think it's because I do a lot of stuff like this. I can't put any of it in a book.
This is a life experience, kids.
I just walk in every day and I'm like, how can I make this enjoyable for me? What do we got to do in here?
I am the main character.
I have like how
Speaking of creating a podcast,
Yes. Oh yeah.
How did we get here? Where am I right now?
I feel like Maya's been like
This is me most of the time.
a little bit victimized.
She is my pillar in the storm, and so yeah, she gets the worst of it. But she's what grounds me.
Listen, my job is sitting in meetings of older white men all the time, and every once in a while, someone will give me the power to lead the meeting, and then I'm like, okay, let's bring it back. Let's get back to the point we were on, which was point number 1A.
3 hours in.
Can we read back the minutes? Hello, everyone. Okay, so now that we're all caught up on the official business that's happened.
It's like 40% of my job.
It's actually, okay, so funny. To talk about the podcast for a second. It is so funny when we have to talk, like, business on the podcast, because even in text form, things suddenly get, like, weirdly formal. We'll be like, oh, did you see this? And there's, like, 2 misspellings, and it's just, like, a picture gets sent. And then I'll get, like, Grant, comma, can you respond to the message in the email right now?
Love Maya.
Exactly. And I'll be like, yes, comma, will buy EOD.
Yeah.
And then like 4 hours later, like, I had this weird idea for a thing. Right?
Yeah, you're super official.
That is me and my co-workers. We like, there's only 7 of us in the office. And so it'll be the most unhinged conversations about the stupid shit that's going on in our lives. And then it's like, hey, can you get this story done by 3 o'clock? I need to put it in the layout to be printed tomorrow.
It was like, by the way, did you hear what Diane said?
Well, this has been fun, but I actually just now time crunch. I need you to.
I'll get off the thing is, the hardest part, and I think this is where, like, I've never done acting, but this is where, like, the performer in me comes out. Like, it is me on the phone to either my boss or, like, someone who owns a variety of businesses in town, because you don't own less than 1 business in our town. I don't know why. Just everyone owns more than 1 business.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. I was
One
like,
of
Anyway,
crazy.
be on the phone with someone.
One of our friends is a small business owner. We get it.
I'd be on the phone and like the 2 other co-workers who share the office with me, they only hear half of the conversation. So like sometimes you're having a conversation and you want them to clue in what's going on, so you start like doing that, repeating what they said.
I love that. I love that.
That was the first 10 minutes of this when only I could hear what Sam was saying.
Yeah.
And you would just give me a look and I'd be like, okay, yep, and this is the feedback that I'm getting.
Sam says,
hi,
still can't
Jenny.
hear you.
Oh, yeah, I did receive your story. No, we didn't receive the photo. Could you send that email again?
This
And
kind
they're
of
like,
stuff.
oh, no, Jenny rang.
See, this kind of stuff is
Then the
great.
wave is like...
Yeah. Yes. Everyone listen. Yes.
Or,
No, this is
or the opposite direction, where they're like, oh, I've got something I need you to tell Jenny. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Little post-it slide. This is so great because I've known since I was like 14 or 15 years old that I wanted to be a teacher. And so then it was like, check, move on. Like, I haven't ever been able to envision what anyone else does for their job. I'm like, what do you produce? What do you mean you like go to work? Like, what's going on? And so all the time I'm like, so phone call, you do this. Ken's job is spreadsheet, you know? It's like, none of it makes any sense to me. And like every year there's a day in which we're testing and I just have to be on my computer as the testing happens. And it's a great day to get caught up on like invoices for stuff that we've bought for the theater class, respond to some like organizational emails, things like that. And there's always a moment where I'm like, wow, I have just burned through my to-do list. It must be the end of the day. And it's like 9:45. And I'm like, how is this some people's life? I don't get that at all. So much love if that's yours. Sorry. Forgot it's not just the three of us in this conversation. Forgot I was being recorded. My bad.
My job is actually email. It's not spreadsheet.
I'm sorry. This Ken's job is getting mad at Grant.
Is rapid fire texting Grant when she knows he can't respond.
Hey, sorry, just finished supervising a cafeteria full of children. Y'all get that business pitch ready for you next.
Our work-life balance is very strange right now.
It really is.
For me, it's with the time zones, especially having most of the people who help me organize things being in the States, they've always sent me a request at like 8:45 and I leave the house at 9 o'clock to be at work at 9 o'clock. Like, we only live 5 minutes away from the office.
I would get fired.
We can't turn up on time. I don't know.
I feel it. When I'm having some bad times, I'll leave my house at 9 o'clock to get to my work at 9 o'clock, but it's 20 minutes away.
The thing is, if you buy everyone coffees, no one's mad.
That's so true.
That's a good point.
There was like one summer where you couldn't fire gay people, and we were just showing up everywhere with iced coffees late to things.
Yeah. And I love that for them.
Life's about balance.
Yeah.
For some reason, that brought back to memory of standing outside a Target in the Buy Finger Guns shirt in Hawaii, waiting for...
Oh, Sam, you really have listened to the podcast. That really is. We're a lot, so to really actually listen to us is a huge thank you. Boo-boo-boo.
Yeah. Justin and Dustin, get it?
If you like the references you didn't get in this episode of this podcast, please go and listen to Will I Laugh, because it's like the chaotic energy I aspire to be 70% of the time.
We got this really wonderful message the other day that truly blew us away, and it was a person said they got in their car after their work, and as they were turning their car on, they said, I should call Grant and Maia. And then she remembered that she's just been listening to us and doesn't actually know us personally. And that is, yes,
that one got me.
We want to invite you into our friend group, and then we want you to get all of our jokes, and if you don't, you can leave. That's fine. We're good. Well, we laughed.
We laughed. That's really okay.
If you didn't laugh, we all did, so...
Exactly. That Lee episode was great, though, because he was our first guest ever on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I do feel a smidge like we kind of captured lightning in a bottle.
Oh, my God,
Because neither one of us knew what that story was. So we were both hearing it for the first time ever. But then also... it was so funny.
It was so funny to watch Lee watch us
Yes.
hear the story for the first time.
I think it was funny for Lee to watch us be concerned at parts he hadn't realized how much in danger he was in. We're both like, wait, what are you doing? And he goes like, yeah, I'm alone in the woods.
It was the point about half an hour towards the end where Lee goes, we haven't even gotten to the bad part yet. And I'm like, we're almost 2 hours into a podcast episode. I have become a public embarrassment with the amount of laughing I've done. What else is going on?
I know. Grant and I, we took like 2 breaks during that episode, and the first time Lee was like, we haven't even like gotten into the story yet.
He was like, we're in the setup phase.
And the second part was like, Grant, he's like, I still have half of the story left, and we were like, what else could you possibly have done in this story?
I think we even start to say at certain points. Go ahead.
was about to say, I'd like to commend you guys for your self-control in that second half of the story, letting him just like letting the concerns just float by on the river.
I was like, we just need to get the story out, and then we can talk about it all in one group, because I don't think he's gonna get it.
You can hear it in our voices, and I think we even say it at certain points where we're like, Maya and I were like, well, okay, and then Lee was like, and we're like, oh no, sorry, we thought the story was done. We're in the like, so what's the life lesson? Like 3 different times.
We like try and wrap up, and Grant's like, or at least like, yeah. So and then I like go to this Target parking lot.
It was the point where it's like, I have an undisclosed appointment, and I was like, oh yeah, we're getting towards the end of the story, because the undisclosed appointment, if he reveals it now, you guys are going to get sidetracked. It was like, no, that was the actual story he had been building to for 2 hours.
Oh my god, that story. Yeah, we got a message about that story. We got a couple messages about that story that was like, Well I Laughed has now been banned from our office because 2 of us listened to it and we can't stop laughing and it's disturbing the peace. And then another one was like, I got a nosebleed because I was laughing so hard.
Ruined her shirt.
We were like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I remember us being like, well, it's so long, it's a lot longer than our usual episodes, should we cut it in half? But it's like, how do you keep that thread? Where do you stop it at?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me, like in re-listening to it, it reminded me of the first time we like really decided to do this. I think you and I were like riffing on someone at a party, and it was like, well, this was fun, we should do this.
No, I remember exactly what it was.
Ooh, what was it?
We have a mutual friend, Danny.
Sorry.
And we
I do love how there is like a whole cinematic universe here of like mutual friends, and it is great.
It is, I think, the only reason why any of these named supporting actors listen to us.
Yeah, we're like, when are they gonna mention me? Oh shit. We were somewhere and Danny was there, and I was sitting next to Danny, and you mentioned something about a podcast. And then Danny leans over to me and goes, you and I should start a podcast, just so that we can say we started one before Grant. And my brain went, I should start a podcast with Grant.
That's such a good story that I will have to use at the exact right moment. I love Danny, and he really is. Honestly, he's probably maybe more virtuous and principled than I am. Danny believes the truth is the most important thing you could tell in a story, and I think we know that's not true. A little bit of embellishment makes a story even better, and just like easier to understand too. And that's really the push and pull.
Yeah.
So we're on a trip last year, and there's a couple people, and I think Danny has some like liquid courage in him, and he goes, all right, fine, all right, I'm gonna tell a story. I'm gonna tell this story the way Grant would tell this story.
No, he won't.
Told the best story of his life. He doesn't mention that night a lot.
That's so funny. He learned hyperbole that day.
You learned nothing. He did learn that. I learned empathy. He learned hyperbole.
And then when we released the first set of episodes, he came up to me. He knew that if he came up to Grant, Grant would be like, I don't care. But he came up to me and was like, you mentioned that I won 4th in this 5K. I actually won 3rd. And I just wanted you to know that. And I was like, okay, that's great. And then I told Grant, and Grant was like, yeah, he knew that if he told me, it would die there.
No, I think I said specifically, I think he knows that if he told me, I'd be like, we can cut it if you want.
Entirely.
You can be not mentioned at all. Is that what you're asking for? You're welcome.
He would be cut. It's like being cut from like a team. Cut.
We can write you off. Don't think we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Write you off like Glee style.
Exactly. So the podcast has been great. It's been great for our friendship. I think it has been great for our extended friendships too. It's to find out how they want to give feedback, who listens. I think I have found who in my life are the truth tellers who will tell me exactly what they think. And while that is really tough to hear sometimes, ultimately really useful. And that list is like my mom, Casey, but in a nice way, and then like Lydia, Danny, and then my friend Shelby, who's a pharmacist who I've been friends with for 13 years. And on this last vacation together, we're at the airport, and she was like, it's just like fun being around you, Grant. And I was like, don't get emotional now, Shelby. That's not how this relation. What, am I supposed to have something nice to say back with no preparation?
You know what, Lisa?
Becoming a mother changed you. Sorry.
I went to dinner with Lee recently, and it was also with Abby, and they were talking about compliments and how like neither of them are good at like taking or giving compliments, and I was like, haha, and like not really in the conversation. And Lee went, yeah, sometimes I give compliments to Maya just because I like to watch her squirm. I'm like,
Exactly.
wow.
And so that, haha, fooled you again.
Delicious kindness. I love it.
Yeah, spiteful kindness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hopefully we covered all of the questions.
it.
I would love to know what questions were prepared for us before we started talking about reptiles.
Reptiles is where this podcast went off the rails, and I'm not mad about it.
Us trying to talk about the pot again at the end to like redeem ourselves a little bit.
by
We're
the
like, we can
way-
dance if you want us to dance.
Let's come full circle. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, like... I think I have one more question. It's very, very journalism. Very journalism as in, I feel like I'm at work asking an interviewee questions for an article I'm about to sit down and try to write and mentally not be in the game for it. Sorry.
Me.
That's a very specific reference to my sundowning at 2 p.m. each week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Each
nap
day,
time.
each week.
Anyway... Each day, actually, yeah, let's be honest. But also, like, looking forward, I don't know, like, did you ever expect to, I don't know, have the kind of traction you guys have at the moment?
Grant made a face that he didn't, but I know in his heart of hearts, he really hoped it would.
Yeah. I was about to say, I don't know, you guys have...
I was really hoping we would have, like, I was thinking that if we kept at it for long enough, we would eventually gain some traction. I did not expect the amount of traction that we gained so quickly. Because we're at like 14 episodes. I was thinking maybe if we were going for like a year, maybe we'd be where we are right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so no. Grant has an ego
I do
on
have
him,
to
though.
admit, I've been doing this for 3 years, and admittedly, I've put various amounts of effort into it. Nowhere near the kind of traction that you guys have, like, organically, which has, like, been amazing to watch, because it's like... the chaotic energy that you two bring, and somehow still manage to tell a story at the same time, like... Gets like it makes me like tear up a little bit.
Thank you.
It's like, oh, they're true. They could belong on SNL, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Don't put me near Kate McKinnon. I will not behave myself.
Don't ask Maya to do it live. I think no. So I think, gosh, when we actually published on May 31st, we were on Spotify, and that was an out of body experience, just to be like, oh, I could play, I can down, like, this is how I get all my other podcasts. And then like that first week, we were having like very, very, very small listener numbers, but it was like all of our friends, and it was like people were like listening to it and making references to it, and that was really engaging. And then there was like that week where things like really kind of took off at first, and truthfully that scared me a little bit. And I think there was a moment where we both looked at each other and were like, do you want to quit? No. No, I think we're good. And I think you can actually tell, I won't say which one, but you can tell which episode we recorded during that time.
So stiff.
Yeah,
and
we're
awkward.
so stiff and like so conservative and reserved. Like, sorry to that episode. I hope we did that
It was
story
still
justice.
fine. It was
but
just. it might just be us being fully aware of what
that
we were like
people
thinking
were
at that
listening.
time. Because I
Yeah.
remember after that big like takeoff happened, Grant came in and just sat in the chair, and then I sat opposite him as far away as I could on the couch, and we were like, so.
That happened.
And since then, it's been, I think, I mean, this is going to sound so corny. I know it is. But I think after that moment, what we've been trending back to is back to those earlier episodes where it was like you and I just hanging out, talking.
More
I think
genuine.
yes.
Like not trying to be funny.
I joke
Yeah.
in episode 13 that like the actual theme of this podcast is friendship. And I do legitimately, every time that I come over to Maya's place to record, I'm excited to hang out with Maya.
Yeah.
And like the podcast is fun, but I have terrible posture. So every time I leave, my like back hurts. But it's like I'm like this all the time, and so I leave having hung out with my best friend, and so that's been a lot of fun. And I think as long as that keeps going, to try to imagine where we might be in a year, having published more, because 14 feels like so much work already, and I'm not even doing any of the editing. I don't know if this response has any thread. It's just like word vomit.
No, Maya, I suppose, like, did you... podcast editing sucks. I do not wish podcast editing upon anyone. How are you going with, like, being the content
So
provider?
I've been working in Photoshop since I was like, I want to say like 14, 15, I like took up conceptual photography. And so I've known how to use Adobe Suite for a while. And then that got a lot bigger in college. So I've never actually dealt with any of the recording features in Adobe until the podcast started. But it has been easier. It's like learning Excel after you've learned Microsoft Word. It's like kind of the same idea. And so honestly, I don't do a ton of editing on the like audio side of it anymore. I don't try and like do audio scrubbing or like any of that kind of stuff. I just like mostly rely on the quality of our like microphones and then try and keep Grant's like this far away from him. So
and then every time I say anything that I think is interesting, which is always just exclusive to me, but anytime I think I have something interesting to say, I do this.
And I want to punch him in the face.
But then she will like quietly like laugh and then like with that extended arm like push it back a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're kind to each other.
Yeah. And then figuring out how to do the video was a whole other thing, because at first I was just editing in Audition, and now it's like I figured out the best way to like edit all in one place. And like I've in my like type A control freak brain, I've had to be like, okay, that sound doesn't sound right, but I will do like the bare minimum to get it fixed, because I am working a full-time job outside of podcast editing. Yes. And for a while I was like counting my hours so that I would know. I think our plan, we don't make money now, but our plan after we like we've made some money, once we pay back all of the like upfront fees, like the cost of the microphones and the sound equipment and everything, will be to pay me for some of my labor. And so I was tracking how much that is.
Yes.
And it's like between like 10 to 15 hours for a shorter episode, 15 to 20 for like a longer episode that's more involved. Editing the reels is a lot. Yeah, it takes a really long time.
I'm always like in admiration, because me, one-man band, I just don't have the capacity for like a lot of social media content.
I wouldn't be able to do the social media.
Maya, like I'm often in awe of people who like put through, not just edit the podcast, but also then somehow goes, let's take this Reels content out of this, and like...
Thank you.
Put it together.
It's
not easy. Like, first of all, you got to like edit the podcast itself and just go, does this make sense? Is this intelligible?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, okay, what parts do we want to feature on our social media? And like, what strategy are we following? And bits and pieces. Like, there's no... And I think if anyone was listening to this and was like wanted to learn anything, it's like nothing is ever not done on purpose. Like, especially when it comes to like putting things through social media or like, even putting a podcast together. It's
Grant and I have both learned a lot about like social media strategy and stuff, which is crazy. And there's always so much more to learn, both in the editing and the planning and the strategizing and interactions. And there's just like a whole other world that I feel like we're like 10% deep in.
Right. Like she will get like 9 reels a week ready. So we publish a new video content every day. And then some days we have 2, which is super awesome. Yeah. Whenever she sends me videos or audio to like check out to make sure we're all on the same page, I know, at least kind of hypothetically, how much time has already been spent on that, and try to get it done as soon as possible. Like, I don't think I've ever told you this. In like late June, I was driving to Roxborough State Park and I saw the text message that then had a lot of attachments, and I knew exactly what it was. And I literally pulled off into this random neighborhood in Highlands Ranch and watched every single one of them, because I was like, if I go on a hike for like 3 hours and then come back and then watch them and send them like 5 hours later, she's like probably at her computer right now, ready to schedule. I need to do this for her. Like, this is additional. I can hang out. I can do this for 15 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah. So, like,
Thank you.
I hope the fact that I'm
clear.
a gay man, so showing up on time to record is always going to be a challenge for me. But otherwise, I respect your time a lot, and I try to be quick on the turnaround.
It shows up. I'm aware.
It's a friendship podcast.
Target lady hands.
I'm glad the Target lady hands are back.
Yes, absolutely. Wow.
It's been in every episode.
Working on.
Wow.
I know this. Unless you are on our YouTube, though, you just don't.
Yeah, you wouldn't know unless we mention it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in, chatting. I feel like, yeah, if you've made it to the end of this episode, A, congratulations, and B, I'm sorry. Thanks. No, I'm not sorry, actually. I'm not sorry.
That's how we end all of our episodes.
Absolutely.
We're like, thanks for making it this far.
This is always like
There's
a
no
big
award.
exhale. We're like, okay, so yeah, but thanks.
No, for clarity, where can people find you on the internet?
On social media, like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, we're Well I Laughed. Oh, and Facebook. And then if you want to Gmail us, we're wellalaughedpod@gmail.com. And then we have a Patreon, Well I Laughed Podcast.
If you want more of us, which we think is also
That's
crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't
but
sound
we
right.
do post there pretty regularly too, which is great.
Yeah.
And love to hear from you guys. We respond. I try to respond within a day to everything. And
If you're lucky, I might respond.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm bored.
I'm the better writer, so it's a rare glimpse, not a better glimpse. So anyways, yeah, this is actually also how we wrap up. We like try to wrap up and then we do one more bit. So yeah, find us on social medias. Get us to where you get all your podcasts.
Yeah.
And I hope you laughed because, well, I laughed.
We did. Has there been anything you've been listening to or reading that you, I don't know, wanted to get out of your system? Sort of final hurrah.
I've been really into mixed biographies lately. And I recently read a book called The Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. And it's about like a woman who goes into the crematorium business in California. And so she starts discussing like she had a very traumatic experience as a child. So she's been like fascinated with death and she has a degree in anthropology. And so she talks about her experience in the crematorium and all of the cultures around the world and how they deal with death and like our problems with it and how we fight against it and that kind of stuff. And that's been really fascinating and has really changed a lot of my like outlook on living.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been reading The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, or I think that's her last name. Sorry, I'm so bad. Yeah, I got it right. Priya Parker. That's what I was checking my phone. And then Everything I Know About Love, which is a book of essays by Dolly Alderton. Both of those are cool. Fun to be, thinking and reflecting. And I love a dinner party. So The Art of Gathering has been really great.
I also love a good fantasy romance moment, but we won't talk about that here. 'Cause that is my shame to bear.
I love the weird boundaries we find.
Yeah.
I'm about to launch into another story, so I got to stop. But yeah, we're both like, and that's my relationship
about to
with
say-
God. But I'm not going to tell you what I read in my free time.
God forbid.
Yes.
I don't want you to know.
No, very fascinating as to what boundaries are. Anyway, I won't. Also on the verge of a story on that one. You can find me at send.the.journalist on Instagram and TikTok, and the podcast on Content and words.
I don't blame you.
I went a bullet a gate and they did not work. The podcast can be found at Content the letter N capable on Instagram. We don't exist anywhere else because that's all I can handle at the moment.
No, that's super
Meta
fair.
Business
I
Suite
get
is
it.
my friend. If you're a Facebook, you could be there. Yes. I love the Meta Business Suite. If it could actually work on the different platforms the same way, it'd be great.
I literally
Because
can
when
only use it
you're
for
on your
Facebook.
web-
Yeah, it's annoying.
I love checking all
Yeah.
of our Instagram messages and then moving over to Facebook where I'm still reading all of our Instagram messages.
It's very strange.
I love getting two sets of notifications on my phone from Instagram and the Meta Business Suite.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's like I read one and the other one's still not read. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And Sam, thank you for having us on.
Yeah,
This
thank
really
you so
has
much.
been a blast.
No, thank you.
This was a crazy kind of like test subject case for us because we've never been like in the wild like this before with nothing holding us in. And so this has been truly
Yeah,
a
this has been
wonderful
really fun.
experience.
Yeah. And next time
I'm
you're in the
sure
States,
it'll be mildly less unhinged next time.
I don't know if that's even what we want.
But next time you're in the States,
Can we go for it?
And if you find yourself in Colorado,
Right.
let us know.
Then we'll show you an actually
Okay,
beautiful part
last
of the country.
story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last story. I almost extended my trip by a week to go hiking in Colorado
You should
because
have.
of you guys. You guys you need to be paid by the Colorado Tourism Board because
I'll email them.
Grant's talking
Husband.
about hiking.
Yeah.
I love how every time I talk about hiking, I'm like, so there I am, freaking out about the state of my life in a gorgeous hike. And everyone's like, wow, I
do
should
that.
hike too. Or every time I'm like, I'm out there working through stuff, and people are like, I bet the colors are gorgeous. They are. They absolutely are.
Not of my life. But the aspens are great.
Absolutely. If you're gonna spiral, couldn't pick a better place. So yes, please, next time you're in the States, come to Colorado. We'd be happy to give you tips, show you around. Absolutely.
Content and Capable was recorded, edited, and produced by Samuel O'Brien. You can follow the podcast at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram, and you can find it on Facebook. You can also send an email through to contentandcapablepod@gmail.com with any of your thoughts, queries, or concerns. The best way to support the podcast is to leave a review on your preferred podcatcher so more people can hear the podcast. The art was done by Opia, and the music was written, edited, and produced by Jason Hilton. Content and Capable is proud to be a part of the Deus Ex Media Network, where you can find a podcast for any of your nerdy interests.
Hey folks, Alex and I have been traveling, so there's no new episode today, but don't worry. There'll be one on Friday, I promise. I will make that happen for you. Our schedule's been pretty crazy, and we haven't really had time to sit down to record The Great Divide, but I prepared this little trailer for you guys, and I hope you all like it, so enjoy! Coffee, tea, honor, cabbage. Long ago, the four elements lived in harmony. Then, shit went totally cray when the Avatar attacked. Only the Cabbage Man, merchant of fine cruciferous vegetables, could stand against his trolling. But when the world needed some dank veg, he vanished. 10 years have passed, and my partner and I have started a new podcast.
My cabbages! An Avatar podcast.
A weekly show about Avatar The Last Airbender. Whether it's Sokka's new line of cologne,
Hey, look at you, sitting there on a seal. Well, now look back at me. I'm on an even bigger seal. Now look away.
D&D related antics,
You have to make an acrobatics check for that, and Aang just like unzips his pants and whips out his d20s. He's just like, I got this.
or randomly breaking into song.
Go bending waterfall.
We'll stumble our way through the greatest show ever made, one episode at a time.
You can reach us at CabbageCast, which is our Twitter, or
Subscribe wherever you catch pod.
Rotten cabbages? What kind of slum do you think this is?
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. Don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for another episode.
Deus Ex Media.
This joke will sound better when I edit it. Where is it? I sent the photo to my friend.
If Grant had the editing power, he too would say that.
I just have to snap, which is my way of requesting that she cuts things.
Sorry.